Welcome back to Dime Gaming Bros podcast, where it is both co-hosts, I guess, Spencer and Jacob. I'm Jacob. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not Jacob.
No, you're not. But we are both very, very tired. Apparently, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I work second shift, and this is like trying to wake up at 4 a.m. and talk and be coherent. So I don't know what you did last night, but you're less awake than I am. So,
I did you last night.
This is going to be a very fun episode. It's already been canceled a couple times. It's been great.
Yeah. Wicked fucking exciting, bud.
We're 55 seconds into the
Spicy
episode, and your New England has come out already.
Oh, yeah, bud. Did bub guy.
Dude bub guy. I break Dude Bub Guy out every once in a while.
People don't even notice half the time.
No, they don't. It's amazing.
Speaking of, I should go to Dunks. I'll just leave 20 minutes while you talk and then come back.
Prove it. So last episode, I said that I was going to talk about God of War from 2018.
Liar!
I had the paragraph set up to make it seem like I'm going to review it.
God damn it. You sneaky son of a bitch.
It takes 25 to 50 hours to beat, depending on how completionist you are. And despite having started playing it a month or two early, Destiny laughed at my plans and decided I could not cover that game this month. It's not fun having to pack all the way to PlayStation.
So do you mean Destiny
No.
as in...
The Hateful X? No, I don't.
Oh, so it's your stripper girlfriend.
No, it is life, the universe, and everything.
I don't know, man. Destiny is a girl's name. That's like a stripper name.
Oh, it's definitely a stripper's name.
You've been distracted.
OlliOlli World launched on every common system, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC in 2022. It is developed by Roll7 and is the third OlliOlli game in the series. The story is you create a character that is on their way to becoming a shredding skateboarding god, surrounded by a couple of special friends, if you know what I mean. Colin kind of special, if you know what I mean. That are full of personality and encouragement for you to become the greatest. You work your way through 5 different regions of Radlandia, meeting each region's god to achieve Nirvana. Each region has a line of levels, imagine Super Mario Brothers, each with their own unique challenges. Beat it in one life, beat the 3 local heroes, etc. Some levels have side quests, which usually means that there's a hidden route to take to meet someone, and it unlocks a challenge level. All of these challenges unlock a special reward. Each region is thematic in its visual design and what the game is trying to teach you for new moves. That leads me straight into the visuals of this game. This game is super vibrant and colorful. Bright colors help to subconsciously understand what terrain is coming up quickly, be it a ramp, a pipe to grind, stairs, crystals to smash, etc. Later in the game, there are alternate routes you can take via a lane change, and that can lead to some crazy level designs. It gets a little complicated and distracting when there are several routes visible in the foreground and background, and you are concentrating on your chosen route. Back to the character's design, the basics are easy, like hairstyle, eyes, and so on, but every level offers an unlockable outfit or skateboard option to get by beating challenges or side quests, as I mentioned earlier. I really appreciated that the game didn't front load all of the unlockables at the beginning of the game. Right when I was creating my character, it slowly reveals what you have or can unlock as you progress through the game. These unlocks don't provide any benefit whatsoever except looking even cooler. Stats aren't changed like an RPG because there are no stats. For sound design, I finally have notes about sound design. I would argue it's vital to have the sound on for this game. There's so much importance in timing while you play. You have to press a button every time you land to stick the landing, and there's a gauge of how well you land. I think it's bad, good, and perfect, I'm pretty sure. It's the same for grinding a rail. You have to push the left stick in one of the 4 directions, up, down, left, right. That will change what kind of grind it is, and you have to time it just right to try to get a perfect landing. The sound of your landing lets you know how well you landed. A bad landing starting a grind sounds like you are hurting the trucks of your board. It's a really rough while a perfect landing almost sounds like a balloon is being popped, and it sounds smooth. It does a nice little pop to I don't know. It's a brain worm. It sounds weird when I describe it, but
it scratches a little itch in the back of your brain.
Yeah, it goes, that was perfect. You don't even have to see it. Same with a regular landing. You can like not grinding a rail, but just landing on the ground. You can tell bad from good from perfect without taking your eyes off of what's coming up next. The soundtrack points out the interesting perspective of this game. The friends the main character hangs out with are caricatures of people, so hyper-profiling for laws, and it's not hurtful in any way. It's just like you got the big dumb jock, you got the skateboarding wizard that's all Obi-Wan Kenobi and shit.
Is there a big titty goth GF?
I think they're underage.
Damn it!
FBI, open up!
There's the ability for your character to dress however you want in an attempt to be open to gender barriers or whatever. You would think the game would go with the easy choice of skateboarders being a bunch of doomers into punk or hardcore. But the game is so bright and colorful, your friends are always encouraging you to become the next skate god. The soundtrack is very...
What's it like to have encouraging friends?
Shut up! The soundtrack is very happy pop. I don't know how I wrote all that encouraging bullshit. You're right. I listened to the punk and hardcore. We're doomers. I don't get it. While not really my preferred genre, it fits perfectly with the aesthetic. I love that it's balanced so that it doesn't invade the airwaves. It doesn't distract from playing the game. It just helps to fill the air so you aren't just hearing skateboard noises. It would feel empty if it was just the skateboard noises. My one complaint is that it seems like the set list is the same every time, so you hear the same song every time you boot up the game. I'm not quite 100% on that, but near the end of the game, I was hearing a lot of the same songs. And that's kind of a bummer, especially because I swear I saw that I was unlocking new songs while I progressed through the game. The left and right bumpers on the controller are mapped to go back or forward a song. So if you don't like the one you're on, you can just hit a bumper and it changes just like that.
It's just like playing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, where you can change the sea shanty with the D-pad.
No, it's even better than that. It's much easier than that.
To be fair, you couldn't go backwards in that game. I hated that. I would always go past the one I wanted, and then I have to cycle through 40 songs.
I do remember that. I had a favorite. I don't remember which one it was.
Well, I just own them all digitally now, so...
No.
Good for drinking.
Oh, songs. I get it. Speaking of buttons, the first thing this game tells you is that it's designed for a controller. To do a trick, you start the left stick in any of the 4 directions, and then rotate it around to varying degrees for different and more complex tricks. The right stick is used while you are in the air to grab the skateboard. I believe skateboarders call it a bend. The triggers are used to spin your character while in the air. The A button is used for landings or to speed up. Y is to start your run over again at the last checkpoint or to start it over completely, especially so that you could do the whole run in one life, because that's always its own challenge. It sounds simple, and the game takes its time teaching you all these mechanics, but it gets very, very complicated trying to time everything right, trying to chain all of your tricks together, trying to not crash and die. It's possible to play through without using a bunch of the mechanics, like spinning with the triggers, but you need to use them all to get high scores and beat the local heroes. OlliOlli games are great in their design because the challenges increase in difficulty to the point that I can't 100% any of their games, but it's still so much fun to just play through and try to improve and feel like a super cool skateboarding dude, something I will never be in real life.
Damn.
In closing, I played the first 2 OlliOlli games on my PlayStation Vita a long, long time ago. Besides my obvious bias for the Vita, it is my favorite console. Fight me! It really did feel like the perfect platform for these games.
But can it play Mario?
Yes.
Okay, if you jailbreak it.
The levels are short enough, you can knock a couple out real quick, put the system in your pocket, and continue on with your life. I would imagine that the Switch would be comparable, just bigger than the Vita. I played this on PC, and I was wishing that I had it as a portable option. This game runs great, it looks great, it's a ton of fun, and it feels like a solid improvement from the last 2 games. They really put an attempt into a story in this one, and it feels methodical, like with the regions and trying to teach you the mechanics in each region, and the challenges are specific to those new tricks or whatever in that region. It's very orderly, and it just feels more rounded out than the first 2 games. This game doesn't feel like it's just another OlliOlli game. It's a good improvement upon what they've already done. I got this game in a $12 Humble Bundle monthly month, and to my surprise, they threw in the season pass with it. So it's usually $18 on Steam by itself, and I think it is totally worth that price.
From InsiderGaming.com.
Oh, we're doing the news now? Whoa,
I know.
They call that a transition.
On a Giant Bomb podcast, Game Mess Mornings, Jeff Grubb launched into a conversation about Marvel's Wolverine, offering up several key pieces of information. Firstly, he started the game will have an M for mature rating, which means it'll be violent.
He stated that the game
What did I say?
started.
Oh my god.
I was like, he started playing the game? What?
Someone said, it's been making the rounds, someone said it'll have a hard R tone, and the internet's been having fun with that. Wolverine's probably said it with the hard R in his life a few times. He seems like the type.
Wolverine.
Yeah, sure. He also explained that it will feature dismemberment, making it one of the most violent Marvel titles in modern gaming. Furthermore, Grubb claimed that Marvel's Wolverine may not launch until 2025, but Insomniac is aiming for a fall 2024 window. And when it does launch, it'll boast a semi-open linear design. Wolverine was revealed during a PlayStation Showcase event in 2021, and originally it was reportedly targeting a launch date of fall 2024. So it sounds like God of War is the smell I'm getting off of it. Is semi-open but linear gameplay style. That smells like a God of War-esque.
So I was thinking too.
20, 30 hour story with side quests type thing. I'm still definitely looking forward to this. I'm glad that they're not rushing it out, particularly with how long they've been waiting to finish Spider-Man 2. That just makes sense that they're also developing them kind of side by side, because that's supposed to be coming out late this year, if I remember correctly. I think the marketing just started, so I think it's a fall to holiday for this year. That's a 4-year,
something like that,
4 or 5 year wait.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes sense that they're gonna chill out on their other games, especially because it's a different like gameplay loop than Spider-Man. It's not like they can just reskin a game; like they have to build something up from scratch.
Respawn Entertainment has delayed Jedi Survivor by 6 weeks. It is now releasing April 28th.
Small delays are never a bad thing.
Correct. This is fine.
From MSN.com, not a surprise, but certainly marking a victory for HBO, The Last of Us has been renewed for a second season.
Shocker.
The apocalyptic drama starring Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey has been a smash hit out the gate. I'm humbled, honored, and frankly overwhelmed that so many people have tuned in and connected with our retelling of Joel and Ellie's journey, said executive producer Neil Druckmann. The collaboration with Craig Mazin, our incredible cast and crew, and HBO already exceeded my already high expectations. Now we have the absolute pleasure of being able to do it again with Season 2. There's no official word yet on the creative plan for Season 2, but in the Hollywood Reporter's recent cover story, showrunners Druckmann and Mazin hinted that the show wouldn't waste time before delving into the storyline in The Last of Us Part 2 game. I don't like filler, as Mazin put it. So I have an actual thought. I have a cohesive thought. The discourse will be back. The Last of Us 2 discourse will return. Somehow, the discourse has started again. It makes sense that they're not going to kill time, because it's currently, we'll talk about that in a minute, it's kind of up in the air whether or not there's going to be a third game installment. It would make sense that they want to give it, there'll probably be a decent gap in real life between the two seasons, but it seems like they're just going to roll right into it, because Pedro Pascal is kind of already towards the age bracket of older Joel from Last of Us 2. He already kind of fits that a bit closer, which is fine. Man's aging like a fine wine, but still, he does look the part of being, how old is he? Mid-40s?
50.
He's 50. He fits. So it makes sense that they want to run into that. And then something I was actually concerned about for a half moment was I was thinking.
That is concerning.
Yeah. So obviously the second game has a lot of lesbians in it, correct? Correct. I didn't remember how old Bella Ramsey was, because she looks very young, and that's why she pulls off the role so well.
She's like 24, I think.
She's 19. But she's playing a character who's like 14, 15, question mark?
Okay.
It's kind of hard to gauge. She has a very young face. So yes. I was like, it's going to be interesting for them to navigate this, because the time gap between the two games is part of what makes it impactful. Like, it's been, I think it's 5 years between the two games. And then there's a lot of just all the interpersonal stuff in the second game. I was like, are they going to be able to pull that off with such a short turnaround? Like, do we need to, wait a minute? But I think they might just. I think they're kind of dressing her down to look even younger, because even on the red carpet, she still looks very young, but she's almost as old as I am. So
that's what I was gonna say, is that I've been paying attention to it. I had the same thought, and they are definitely putting a lot of work into dressing her down, as you said, to make her look like she's 14. So
she pulls it off very well.
Yep.
She definitely comes across a little bit older than Game Ellie, which is fine.
Yep.
There's less of an annoyance factor there for sure. It was just a thought. I was like, wait a minute. How that's gonna be either harder on the filmmakers, or it's gonna be weird.
But I mean, they kind of did the same thing with Joel and Tess too. I just finished episode 3, and it goes back a lot of years, and they look like I would assume they look in real life. So I think they're aging Pedro up,
maybe.
For like the current day Last of Us, there's a lot more gray in his hair, etc., etc.
It's kind of hard to tell whether it's graying or dirty.
I think it's great.
It's probably both. It's just interesting. I just
Yes.
had a thought, and I was like, oh boy, because I was thinking, because you have to cast an Abby, and Abby is not young looking at all, which is fine. I don't fucking care. But I was thinking about the contrast between the two actors playing what'll effectively be the two leads for the next season. Because
And they hinted at it in episode 2 too. They were like,
Right.
"So is there a boy?" And she's like, "No."
no, so it's like
So it'll be.
it's gonna be interesting.
I think it'll be a lot smoother than people are.
Oh,
guessing.
probably. I am actually kind of concerned about how they're gonna frame season 2. I saw some people saying that they should start off with have you played the full second game yet or no?
No.
Okay.
I
So
didn't even beat the first game.
effectively, you know Abby kills Joel, right? You know about all the.
Oh, I did not know that.
Okay, so long story short, I guess spoilers. It's been out
I knew
for a
he
few
died,
years.
but I didn't know who did.
So you know the end of the first game where Joel picks Ellie over saving the fucking world. You've probably heard about that. Okay, well, whatever. Joel has a protective dad moment where he actually makes the wrong choice and invalidates her wishes, and then that causes a big rift, and then we have a time jump.
I see.
So he's learning and all sorts of stuff, and she's distant, blah, blah. One of the people that Joel kills at the scientific facility, the whole point of the first game is getting her to people who can use her for the thing. And
Yes.
she's like, I want to do the thing. And they're like, it will kill you, though. And she's like, that's fine. And Joel's like,
No.
fuck the world, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the people that was there was Abby's dad.
Ah.
So Abby is on this massive vengeance quest, but we don't know that. The game frames it in such a way that we go through a bunch of Ellie stuff, then we go to Abby, and then we get the beginning. So we kill Joel. And then it's like, and flashback, now you have to play as Abby for like 10 hours. So it makes you hate the protagonist, and it's really effective. That's why the game is so polarizing. Like, hardcore. It's just the framing on the game is why the game works in a way. So I'm a little nervous about them rounding the corners too much to smoothen it out and be like just leading in too early to like it just undercutting the fact that she killed Joel and she was kind of right. And Joel was like, that was his arc, was like, I have lived my life, I made a bad choice. It's coming back, like whatever. It's just kind of, you get for a TV format, that's a thing you would be like, so we'll just straighten it out and make it all chronological. And it's like, that's going to take away the impact a lot.
After 3 episodes, though, they haven't done that at all. They've bucked that system. So I don't see that happening.
It's just a concern I have.
I don't
You
think
never
so.
know. I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Episode 3 just went back to 12 years and told you a story about a couple that had very little to do with it was like it finished with like 30 seconds of, and this helped Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
So
that was
I don't
it's just like,
think-
so you see this codex entry.
yeah, exactly.
Here's a full episode. Have some more.
I don't see it happening. I think they do good.
Probably.
From VideoGamesChronicle.com, despite the franchise's commercial and critical success, Druckmann has claimed that Naughty Dog's parent company Sony would pressure the company into continuing the story of Ellie and Abby that was told in 2020's Last of Us Part 2. He told BuzzFeed that if the studio can come up with a compelling story for Part 3 and is passionate about the project, it will make it. If not, it might decide to move on from the series, like it has chosen to do with its other blockbuster franchise, Uncharted. I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not, he said. All I could say is, at Naughty Dog, we're very, very privileged that our publisher is Sony, which means Sony funds our games, supports us, and we're owned by Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something is successful, people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case. For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say that we're done. We're moving on. Likewise, with The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not, he said. the balls on this guy over here.
It's good. It's
Yes.
nice.
I like
If he's not lying, it's good.
him, not his balls.
Yeah.
I like the things he's saying,
Yes.
not his balls.
Sony doesn't seem to be moving on from Uncharted though, because it's smelling like they put another studio on a new entry. So that's interesting. I wasn't able to find a lot of anything beyond rumors on that one, but that I think we talked about it like 2 months ago. There was like a job the job listing leaking that a game is coming, and it's like, but it wasn't at Naughty Dog, and it's
Interesting.
yeah. So I mean, if they want to put the franchise in a slightly different direction and follow up on the characters we have left and like change the gameplay a bit, it would make sense to push it to another studio, because Naughty Dog seemed a lot more involved in the storytelling than they were in the gameplay, just the type of studio they are. So
Yes.
it makes sense. From Crystal Dynamics to our amazing community of 10-year-olds, after 2.5 years and introducing 12 of Earth's mightiest heroes following update 2.8 on March 31st, 2023, we will no longer add new content or features to Marvel's Avengers. All official support for the game will end on September 30th, 2023. Even after official support ceases on September 30, 2023, both single and multiplayer gameplay will continue to be available.
So they're not going to be putting more man hours and money into a game that everybody hates. Wow.
Yep.
Shocker.
Rip Bozo.
It's amazing that the freaking servers are staying online for a while.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably downsizing them on the back end because the numbers are so consistently low. They get their tiny spikes on new updates. So it would make sense. They're like, we can downsize like 30 to 20% server capacity and then shove it in the back closet.
Yep.
I don't remember how many other games Crystal Dynamics has on like constant server update things. Like I don't remember what their other like platforms look like right now. So they might just have the storage hanging out, because this game was in development for so long for being a piece of shit, but it was in development for a long time. So it makes sense that they just have storage space.
Yes. I don't know.
I don't know. Rip
well.
Bozo, congrats. Maybe it'll be, by the time that last update comes out, when the game is $10, maybe it's time. Maybe I'll do it this season. How about that?
Wow.
Maybe. No promises. It's like 200 hours.
That's what you said about Disco Elysium at the end of the season.
I've started it.
Oh, that's news to me.
It looks so funny when I do that.
Exclusive from IGN.com, E3's first physical event in 4 years was supposed to be a triumphant return for the trade show, an opportunity to recapture some of the excitement of past conventions, which is historically have been major showcase events for the games industry. However, it appears that when E3 2023 hits the Los Angeles Convention Center in June, it will be without 3 of its most important draws. IGN has heard from multiple knowledgeable sources that Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo won't be part of E3 2023 or have a presence on the Los Angeles Convention Center show floor. This information comes on the heels of Xbox's announcement last week that it would be returning to Los Angeles for its annual summer showcase, while declining to confirm whether it would be part of the show itself. So that leaves Apple Games and Google Stadia at E3 2023.
Google Stadia is already dead, actually. I think we talked
I
about
know. That was the point.
So yeah, E3 is pretty much dead, which sucks. Didn't we talk about this we've talked about this every time we've mentioned another convention, because Nintendo has Nintendo Direct, Sony has, the State of Play, and Xbox is just constantly doing shit. Like any Microsoft event, they'll just have a big Xbox thing. So like E3
is dead.
I think like 2 years ago, like when we started, we had an announcement about an event. It was like Sony not going and E3 was going digital again or whatever. And it's
this has been
this is the beginning of the end.
Quite a while.
A long time ago. I would say the a release of Halo 4 in 2014. I wanted to go to E3 really bad. Like I wanted to go to E3 in cosplay to go do the circuit. I wanted to have, I had goals. Before my soul was crushed by the world.
I had the same goal, but mine was Vans Off the Wall tour.
That's fair.
And that's dead.
Yes. Yeah. Me and my roommate now, the plan was, when, we were elbow deep in playing Halo at the time, was like, we should do a cosplay for like when a Halo game comes out. We should go to E3.
So you would have been Master Chief and your roommate would have been Cortana?
Yes. Something,
Wow.
I don't know, just something. It's like, because there's a lot of really good like cosplayers for the Halo community. It's a small community, but like they make some insanely good looking shit. And I wanted to do that for one, because I was really into cosplay at the time. And like E3, dude, it's E3, but now, what do you think? 2027, E3 is no more? No?
It sounds like it might be no more this year.
I think that this year is going to have obviously record low numbers. So, 2 more years of floundering. Next year might be too early to kill.
Oh, it's going to have EA there.
EA and Activision. Wait, no, Activision's owned. Never mind. Activision is owned by Xbox.
I think it was pretty much like that last year or 2 years ago. It was like, here's the next freaking Watchdog game.
Yeah.
For
it's the publishers, but not like the big three. I think by the end of the decade, it's going to be dead. I think they're going to officially kill it. They'll just make it a big computer article.
From PCGamer.com, the bad news is that The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, which has been set to launch on March 3rd, is delayed. The good news is that the delay is brief as these things go, just a few weeks, and it's now set to come out on March 28th. The delay, believe it or not, was apparently prompted, at least in part, by the popularity of the HBO show, which has brought the game back into pop culture prominence and exposed it to a whole new audience. Hearing your love for the HBO adaptation, seeing your beautiful photo mode shots, and learning about how the world and characters our studio created nearly a decade ago continued to reach new and old fans alike floors us every day, Naughty Dog said. We know a lot of you have been revisiting the story that started it all with The Last of Us Part 1 on PlayStation 5, and we realize that many of you have been excited to jump in, some for the first time when Part 1 hits PC. And so we want to make sure that The Last of Us Part 1 PC debut is in the best shape possible. The additional few weeks will allow us to ensure this version of The Last of Us lives up to your and our standards. We are so excited to bring The Last of Us Part 1 to a new platform, reaching new and returning players with Joel and Ellie's unforgettable story of survival. And we hope that you'll continue to look forward to its PC release on March 28th. I cannot wait for the modded experience of the Mandalorian and whatever her character was in Game of Thrones going through this game.
Damn.
That's my biggest takeaway.
I think it's funny that Naughty Dog is such a small enough studio that, like, this is a decision they can make on a whim.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh shit, we should probably put a little bit extra elbow grease on this one because
It's got
show
so
is
much attention.
exploding right now.
Yeah.
Especially because the Part 1 remaster isn't, from everything I can tell, it technically the arbitrary lines. It basically qualifies as a remake because it's not just a reskin, but it is primarily a reskin. They're updating the models with the Part 2 models, and then like the lighting engine's getting fixed, and I think a handful of technical problems. So like it's pushing
The definition of
it's pushing beyond like just remaster, which is usually like
higher quality textures.
right. Usually it's like just a reskin. It's not a complete. We just took the PC version and cranked it up to max and then slapped it on a disc.
I thought the remake they built in the same game engine as The Last of Us Part 2. I thought that's why it was marked as remake. It looks very, 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 very close to the remaster, but there's a couple of like mechanics, like they changed how you pick stuff up or craft or something stupid like that so that it's cohesive between Part 2 and things like that. Small things.
Right. It means it's actually worth money, but it is small.
Right. Along with the lighting enhancements and all those things.
Right. From PCGamer.com, a new Bloomberg report says Electronic Arts, EA, not sports, has canceled development of a new game based on the Apex Legends and a Titanfall series that was in development at Respawn Entertainment.
That's it. I quit.
Yeah, literally. The report, which cites 3 sources, says the canceled project was a single-player game codenamed Titanfall Legends and set in the shared Apex and Titanfall universe. It was reportedly being directed by Mohamed Alavi until his departure from the studio in 2022. That would presumably put the project that he teased on Twitter in July 2021. We're developing a brand new single-player adventure from Respawn Entertainment, he said at the time. We're a small but ambitious team with a history of dreaming big and making splashes. I am actually fucking pissed. I didn't expect that Titanfall 3 was going to happen because Titanfall 2 bombed. Not because it was bad, it was great, but because it came out the same weekend as like a bunch of other big games or whatever the fuck.
Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yeah, it just got crowded out, which happens, and then...
But it's got a huge cult following.
It really does, and it's definitely worth it. That's something I'm potentially tackling soon, maybe.
It's about time.
Yeah, you better.
It's about time. I've only played through it like 5 times.
Well, it's short, so you can do that in an afternoon.
A couple sittings.
But also, just with how big Apex got, and they're like, well, they're technically in the same universe, but like it's not a sequel because, you know, they made Apex. For being a battle royale, Apex Legends is really good. It's just really not up my alley, you know? But now that I know that they did go and they were going to make it and then they canceled it, it's like I never needed a Lego Halo game. But when they leaked that there was going to be a Lego Halo game and then they canceled it, I'm fucking pissed. You know? Why would you show it to me if I can't have it?
There's a story element where someone go bye-bye and then credits and then character come back.
Oh.
So that was what 3 was supposed to be about. So yes, I agree. I am very upset. This is bad. Most uncool.
Mega cringe. Not like it's anything new from fucking EA.
It's weird that they're like, we're a small freaking company and can't do this. And yet they run Apex Legends and they're doing Jedi stuff. Both Jedi games. Like, I get it. You need manpower, but it's your own game, though.
Yeah, it's weird. Very, very wacky.
From PCGamer.com, last year it was announced that the next Tomb Raider game would be published by Amazon, with Crystal Dynamics returning to develop. Now, according to sources at The Hollywood Reporter, a Tomb Raider TV series is in development at Amazon Prime, with Phoebe Waller-Bridge attached as a writer and executive producer. Waller-Bridge previously wrote and starred in Fleabag, was showrunner for the first series of Killing Eve, and was a writer on the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die. Except all the time because COVID. Old joke. While she's performed in movies like Solo, A Star Wars Story, and will be appearing in the next Indiana Jones, Waller-Bridge apparently won't be playing Lara Croft, though The Hollywood Reporter doesn't say who will be following Angelina Jolie and Alicia Vikander in the role. That's not all. Amazon has a movie coming as well, which will be tied to both the series and the game to build out a connected world of Tomb Raider. Basically a Laura cinematic universe, then.
You had me in the first half, not gonna lie. It sounded great, and then you made it sound bad. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is fucking phenomenal. She's one of my, like, writing crushes. She's fucking great. Shut up. And she's hot. But, like, she's really talented. I've loved everything she's fucking worked on. It kind of fits. And she also has personality, which is what this show is going to need. Because that's kind of still kind of the problem that the most recent movie had, was that it was a bit bland and overly reliant on the game it was adapting. So I feel like that's good. And I'm not... Like, it's fine that she's not playing the role. She could do it, but fine, I guess. Why are you making a goddamn shared universe? Fucking yourself right now. Whoever approved this. a bridge. Go Roblox yourself.
Wow. How edgy of you.
It sounded so good. And then they're like, and we're going to do a TV show and a movie and another movie and another. They sound like Sony and their expanded universe of Spider-Man characters right now. Yeah!
It's interesting that this doesn't have Sony attached to it at all.
It's very strange. I don't know, man.
Wow.
Wacky shiznit, my dude. From PCGamer.com, the day is finally here, folks. Hitman 3 has evolved into a new form, becoming Hitman World of Assassination, a newer and simpler version that casts off the original's baffling array of purchase options in favor of a simple, easy-to-understand package. My package is easy to understand. It doesn't work.
It's also simple, but that's not the script. It says single.
Oh.
That was 2 burns in 1.
Shut up. Easy to understand package that encompasses all 3 games, plus an optional deluxe pack that includes the DLC for 2 and 3.
Your package doesn't have a deluxe pack.
But it does have a second and third part. We're also...
But not a 4th!
Yes. We're also getting the much-touted and much-delayed Freelancer mode, which adds a kind of roguelike variation of classic Hitman that sees Agent 47 waging war against criminal organizations from a new customizable headquarters. So this is cool. I might actually get into it now because I think I played a couple demos for the first game and I was like, this format is so different than the old games, but it seems pretty cool.
It's crazy. It's weird. It's unique.
The thing that I got off of it was...
It's frustrating because I have copies of the first and second game, but I think it's across different...
platforms,
like Steam or GOG or PlayStation.
Sucks
so
to be you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why not being a PC gamer is better.
Wow.
I don't know. The only thing that I really got off of it is one, the graphics for the first 2 games look pretty good. The third game looks a little rough in comparison to the other 2, which is really weird. And so does this trailer for this updated version.
Interesting.
It looks fine. It just looks a little flat. Low polygon. No polygons? No polygons? The thing I got off...
That was Lara Croft.
Them pointy titties. The thing that I got off of it was... so you know my ex. My one true love that I had.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a...
Just making sure we're on the same page.
Yes. So in the later entries before the game completely went to shit, there were black box missions where you'd have an assassination where it'd be infiltrate the Notre Dame. You can kill the person in any way. There are a couple of optional things you can get extra like XP for if you don't get detected or whatever, but like there are distractions nearby, there are doors, there are secret passageways, there are, all of the tools in your arsenal, and it would just be like, have fun. It just kick you up. You can take 2 hours to set up an elaborate trap, or you can just run in and stab him.
Sniper rifle.
Kind of. That's kind of the vibe that I got off of the newer Hitman games. Is it was a lot more. It was that, but obviously more in depth because that's the whole game. It's a hour-long assassination where you can just go through so many different stealth options.
Yes.
And it is cool. I don't know why I haven't gotten to it, but...
Or sniper rifle.
Then just go play Sniper Elite 4.
That is an option in the game, though. It takes, the whole game to unlock it. But the interesting thing about Hitman is that it's different from what you were talking about in Assassin's Creed because you have to escape, and that is
the hard part.
A really difficult thing to do. Yeah, but I really love that these 3 games have had constant updates of they were trying to prolong the game and here's a target that you'll never have again, which is kind of dumb and annoying, but it's set up to have a rotating pool of go to different parts of the world now and kill a new guy. So it's fun, it's weird, it's cool. From PCGamer.com, Halo's future is unreal.
Jason Schreier is so funny.
According to Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier. In an article published Tuesday, Schreier wrote that late last year, when previous studio head Bonnie Ross and engine lead David Berger departed and Pierre Hintz took over, developer 343 Industries, finally decided to pivot to Unreal. The change is just one detail in a report that outlines the challenges 343 faced while developing Halo Infinite and the impact of Microsoft's recent layoffs. According to Schreier, at least 95 employees were laid off at 343, a number that Microsoft had not disclosed. The 95, not the 343. The layoffs hit dozens of veterans, including top directors and contractors, upon which the studio heavily relies, the report said. Those temporary employees were given just a few days' warning before their contracts came to an end, according to people familiar with the process. Temporary employees, like veterans of top directors. Smells fishy. 343 remains the primary developer behind Halo Infinite and future Halo games, but the report makes it clear just how unclear the path to that future currently looks. It describes Halo's existing slipspace engine as based largely on old code from the 90s and early 2000s. And says it was the source of headaches for some of Infinite's development. Unreal development will reportedly start with a new project, codenamed Tatanka. Toy Tonka.
I like Tonka trucks.
Which is being co-developed with longtime Halo contributors, Certain Affinity. Our colleagues at Windows Central reported on Tatanka last year, calling it a battle royale mode that would be compatible with Halo Infinite's Forge tools. Windows Central corroborated with... I just broke. Windows Central corroborated the detail that 343 Industries plans to move development to Unreal, writing, internally, there was a fierce tug of war over the change, with one camp of developers desiring the switch and another arguing that Halo should remain on slipspace. According to Windows Central, According to Windows Central, there was also a version of Tatanka built on Halo's existing slipspace engine. It may be quite some time before we see the results of Halo running on Unreal Engine. After 343's Industries leaders have repeatedly called Halo Infinite a platform for the next 10 years of Halo, I'm making eyes.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
That's exactly what my hateful ex said.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
The most surprising detail in Bloomberg's report is that there are no new campaign missions or expansions in development.
Stop looking at me.
Like my hateful ex.
Stop! I'm gonna cry.
According to Bloomberg's sources, developers were making prototypes in the Unreal Engine and pitching ideas for new Halo games rather than working on new missions for Halo Infinite. The report adds that many of these developers were laid off in the recent cuts, and for now, only work on Infinite's multiplayer continues.
And to add on top of that, from GameInformer.com, amidst the layoffs, Halo Infinite creative director Joe Staten, who was brought onto the team in 2020 to help bring the game across the finish line, announced he was leaving the studio to rejoin Xbox Publishing. Staten also told employees at 343 Industries that the company had made the difficult decision to restructure elements of our team, which means some roles are being eliminated, according to Bloomberg. This massive wave of layoffs comes as Microsoft continues to gain approval from various agencies like the FTC for its acquisition of Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard for a colossal $69 billion. Okay, so
Halo Infinite was a big oofy, and now they are restructuring. Big oof.
So, yes. So one, Microsoft doing massive layoffs so they can buy more studios is atrocious and disgusting. That seems to be the bigger part behind this, is they're just like, well, if we make Microsoft smaller, then we can make sure that the trade deal gets lined up. And that's disgusting. And then 343 having huge layoffs is also not good. So the biggest problem that I think everyone in the Halo community has been ranting about for years now is no one dislikes the devs at 343. like specific employees have never really been the problem. Even if there are disagreements with them, they're pretty much all fairly normal people. A lot of them, sadly, are contractors who are not paid anywhere near enough. But like most of them are front-facing employees, like the heads of departments. They're just chill, normal people. They give updates. They've all been great during all of these very messy releases. But the fucking leadership at 343 has never been there. It's always been something new. Like every game has multiple head leads. Frank O'Connor was running 343's ship for a while. I think most of Halo 5's development, and then he bailed halfway through development on Infinite. This is the problem. It's a structure issue and it's a leadership problem. Like general rule, never blame the devs for a game failing. That's 99% gonna be applicable. You know, they're hauling ass to get shit across the finish line. They're not the problem. It's the lack of resources and like structure. So that fucking blows. And I'm not gonna say that that's a Staten problem because he was basically just he was brought on for PR reasons because, you know, he's one of the OGs, and also it was a temporary position. I think that was pretty much clearly stated originally, was like, I'm here to bring it across the finish line and like guide it through some of the live service stuff. And he did that. And it makes sense that he's going to go back to his other job at Xbox Publishing. The thing that's kind of killing, two things that are killing me. One, we knew about the third game mode, the Battle Royale thing. Was leaked like a year ago. So this is a known thing. I actually think Halo's sandbox works for a Battle Royale like really well. Fucking fight me. I'm down for it.
Okay, sure.
Especially at this point, yeah, it does need the population numbers. Let's not lie. They just made a new engine though. That's the thing that's bothering me. Is clear they most of the problems they seem to have had during development on a technical level, obviously COVID, working from home for most of Infinite's development, but also they just made the slipspace engine. It seems to be mostly old code. Like it's not like it was created whole cloth and it started from nothing, but it was a huge evolvement on top of the previous Halo engine, so they called it a new thing because it was effectively a new engine because of how much they had to change. Obviously, every Halo game is added on to part of the engine. They're using the Quake engine, basically. Like it's an old fucking engine, but they did a massive overhaul to it, so Slipspace was effectively new, and that's one of the reasons why Infinite took so fucking long. But also because it was new and they weren't used to it, that's also why every single fucking update took like 6 months longer than it was supposed to come out. And still is. So switching to Unreal isn't going to fix that. It'll be cool in a sense because I'm sure that some of these devs probably have more experience with with Unreal than they do with Slipspace. But they just spent like 5 years. This is why it took Infinite so long after 5 to even get announced, was because they were deciding we need to overhaul the fucking engine before we can start working on the game. The first trailer was a reveal that it was on a new engine. So this is so fucking stupid.
The other thing that's killing you is the bleach that you drink every morning.
Yes. No, it's the fact that they have killed all single player expansions on this game. They just killed that team, and that's part of the layoffs, is there's no more. There were leaks and rumors of lots of DLC. The game ends on a cliffhanger. That's clearly not because they said it's a platform for 10 years. Clearly it was a setup for DLC packs. That's some fucking bullshit. So it's just going to be basically what we have now, I think. We'll get a couple more big updates with the features that are missing, because there's still a few features that are missing, and I think they're just gonna have to put out their whole 343 USI into making the live service tenable for the next long time.
That one didn't flow so well.
Yeah,
it was a good try.
I wasn't that's the only thing. It's gonna be that, and then the new game mode whenever that gets released. That's it. They fucked themselves on this one, which is so fucking sad because Infinite was their shot. It was course correction, back to a lot of classic elements. We changed the art style, we changed the gameplay. Most people are happy with the way the game plays. Most people like the story. It was their time.
And they blew it.
You blew it! God damn it!
You sound like a dad talking sport ball.
it's just incredibly disappointing because this means at a minimum we're not going to get another game for, I would say, 6 years. They're going to either have to just set, they're going to have to get used to the Unreal Engine, do whatever else they're going to do. They need a goddamn studio head. I can name 5 people that have been like basically head of 343 since it was founded, like post Bungie, and they've all fucked around and left. So they need a head, but like this problem will continue. That's the same problem that the other games had. They didn't have a really strong vision there to unify all the different game modes and stuff and have a direction. It was all over the place. You had writers arguing with each other for like all of Halo 5's development. Halo 5 had its story scrapped halfway through. That's why the marketing was false, was because that was the story, and then they changed it. Like,
have this nice cold glass of bleach.
I'm so fucking upset about this. And also just laying off a shit ton of employees for that is fucking garbage.
You hit on that.
It's not their fucking fault. God damn, I'm so cranky about this. There was also some weird rumors about what they're going to do moving forward, but those weren't credible enough to look into.
From Kotaku.com, the upcoming Rainbow Six film from Paramount, starring Michael B. Jordan, has a director, Chad Stahelski. He's best known for his work on the popular John Wick films and will produce the movie alongside Jordan, who stars as John Clark, a popular character from Tom Clancy's books. Jordan already... Oh my gosh, I can't talk about the thing in my mouth. It's called a tongue.
That's not a tongue.
Jordan already portrayed Clark in the 2021 film Without Remorse, which is based on the Tom Clancy book of the same name.
Technically.
Don't get me started on that. That movie, which skipped theaters due to a pandemic that you may have heard of, and launched on Amazon Prime, ended with Clark planning to establish a multinational anti-terrorist team codenamed Rainbow. Shut up. This set up a potential sequel that would focus on the popular Rainbow Six team, which over the years has become well known to gamers thanks to Ubisoft's successful video game franchise based on the fictional Squad. So, I saw the movie, and I said, this has nothing to do with Without Remorse. It's probably a cool movie, but it has nothing to do with the book, besides the title.
So I also watched the movie. I haven't read the book. It was, like, fine.
Yeah, that's what I figured it would be.
It was, like, he's good, because it's Michael B. Jordan. Man can riz up a statue, you know? Like, Right. It was, like...
But it pisses me off that they're using Tom Clancy's name and, like, doing nothing with what they have to work with.
To be fair...
I understand it's old.
Ubisoft has been doing this for 20 years. None of their games have anything to do with his books.
Some of their first ones were.
Yeah, in the early 2000s. You know how many games... They're like an annual release.
You said none. You were wrong.
85% of their games have nothing to do with Tom Clancy at all. It's name recognition and like they have an entire life their own.
Yes.
They're like an annual release game series.
I do not argue.
Like,
but it's still wrong.
I don't disagree, but I'll take what I can get. I don't know. The movie was like it was like a 7.
What?
Like a 6, 7. It was fine. Nothing that was intensely bad, but it wasn't like the most exciting thing in the world. It was fine. He was decent. It makes sense that they want to make it a thing.
It should be a thing. Yeah. It should be better all the way around.
I still want them to go back to the Shadow Recruit timeline because I like that movie.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with those fucking books, but I really like it.
Yep.
It is the best Chris. And Keira Knightley, if I remember correctly. So,
yes.
Hot couple.
Yes.
Very spicy. It's cool that
Stahelski's involved. And they got the helicopter
involved.
crash really good.
Yeah. It's good that Stahelski's involved because that was the thing with the other movie was like the action was fine.
Yeah.
But if
like,
we
shit, helicopter with a gun.
Right.
We hide.
But if we crank this shit up, we make it, we get some gun fu going on. I'm definitely down.
Yep.
Strong improvement. I didn't know where to put it because it's like it's based off the books, but it's also gonna be adapting the games. I didn't know if I should include it. It is you know,
I don't know, man.
It's more. I think it has more to do with the Tom Clancy games than it does the books. So I figured it would be appropriate here because
reading that sounded somewhat close to the books where John Clark establishes a multinational anti-terrorist team codenamed Rainbow.
We'll see.
That's true.
We will see. From TheVerge.com. It's not Metroid Prime 4, but it's still big news for fans of intergalactic bounty hunter Samus Aran. The original Metroid Prime is being remastered for the Switch. Even better, the game launched, from when we're recording this, 2 days ago, on the 8th of February in the Nintendo eShop. A physical version will be available February 22nd. The news was announced during Nintendo's first direct presentation of the year. The first Prime launched 2 decades ago on the GameCube, best console in the world, and was remarkable for the way it translated the moody exploration of Super Metroid into a first-person experience. It was followed by 2 sequels. A 4th game, aptly named Metroid Prime 4, is in the works but was rebooted in 2019 with little information since.
So this makes me feel better. I was on YouTube yesterday and I said, "What the heck is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that looks cool. When did this come out? I don't know, but it's $40 on Nintendo. I'll probably get that."
Literally yesterday.
So now I find out that it was a day old, and I was seeing it on YouTube.
It also looks really good. It looks like
does.
a very good remaster.
Yes. It brought back nostalgia.
Yes.
Because I watched my cousins play that game. I was like, I remember this.
I just love the music. It's so fucking quirky. It's good shit. Just that didn't make any sense, but just the music is so you know Metroid Prime music when you hear it. It's so fucking weird.
Okay.
I don't know. It looks cool. Looks good. If the price seems reasonable for a remaster of an old game, $40 seems fine. It's like a 20-hour experience. I think it's been a long time. Of course, disappointing. It's not all 3, but whatever. Such is life.
We watched a movie.
We did watch a movie. What's the movie called?
Your Mom's Porno. Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge came out in 2020. It is R-rated. It stars Jennifer Carpenter and Joel McHale and Ike Amati and Steve Blum and Art Butler and Darren DePaul and Robin Atkin Downs and Greg Griffin, because of course, and Dave B. Mitchell and Kevin Michael Richardson. I was going until you said something.
So it's a direct-to-VOD adaptation of the early game's story, but with so much gore. It's so adult, and they say fuck. And it's pretty good.
It is quite good. There's a lot of blood.
There is so much fucking blood.
I think this is more violent than the Mortal Kombat R-rated movie that we just got.
Oh, yeah.
In 2021. It
like by tenfold.
Yeah.
This is disgusting. There were times I was like, holy fucking shit, dude. Like, chill, buddy. There's brain matter flying. This is insane.
A lot of blood. I think it's interesting that they did the X-ray shots of like the modern games, basically.
I thought that was cool.
It changed it to black and red outlines as the evisceration was happening, but it made me realize that that was kind of something we were missing from the 2021 live action movie.
It was missing a little bit of that pizzazz. Meaning they need to be more violent. The next one needs to be more violent.
More gore.
They need to crank it up. Like, it's fine. It reaches the point where it's comedic when you go for it.
I mean, there were still nasty things.
Oh, yeah.
Like the hat saw blade thing.
That was great.
Like,
but
that's one of my favorite kills in that movie.
But we're also laughing because it's fucking hilarious.
It's great.
And that's the thing, is like when you do go, like it's like playing Doom. Like yeah, it's tense, but when you crank the gore up so much, it becomes so funny.
Yes.
So yeah, this is the fact that it released basically like right before the live action movie came out is I think one of the reasons why that was received as like, God damn it, we're doing the same thing again, because they basically did.
Yeah.
Except this one doesn't have some writer's OC, and it just actually follows the characters. So big win for that. It's kind of, I think the problem that a lot of these series have is every time something isn't like super popular and they have to try again, you have to start back with the first story. And this is a pretty well condensed, tightened up version with a lot of changes to like early stuff and like all the flashbacks and stuff and whatever. And I think there's goddamn comic books and whatever. But also, it's like we've seen this. We've seen the first tournament, you know. But also, not really. I don't know. It's just one of those things it's very simple.
It's
and
got
that's
enough
fine.
story that you can follow it, but it doesn't have enough story that it bogs itself down.
Right.
It's the perfect balance of story and action.
For a first entry, I'm really hoping that the next two movies after this, which I think they're making it for, there's other sequels to this, and they were also
Animated.
received well. So I'm with about the same as this.
I saw some drop off in the reviews. I haven't seen them though.
It looks like they're leading into bigger stuff. The movie, and not on a cliffhanger, but it ends on like mega sequel bait, and it's like, damn, we weren't actually fighting the big bad, which they basically say the whole movie. They're like, this isn't even the bad guy, which is fair. It is just a little annoying, but like I think it's balanced enough, and that was the thing. It was I would have been a little annoyed if I'd gone to theaters to watch this. One, because it's like an hour 15. It's a little too short.
Yeah.
I'm all for watching short movies, and also because I have the Regal Pass thing, I'd watch shit for free. But like, if I had to pay for a ticket for this, I would be like, it feels like a direct-to-streaming movie, and that's not always a bad thing.
It also feels like some of the more recent animated DC movies. It
a little bit
looks very, very, very similarly animated.
It has a bit of that type of thing to it. Yeah, I'm assuming it's probably some of the people are in common, because also Ed Boon did work kind of on the worst DC animated movie other than The Killing Joke, Injustice, which was Garbo. But like, I think it's just there's probably some animators involved on like a higher up level. It's WB. They're a small. WB is tanking so hard. They're a pretty small company these days, you know. Yeah. So it would make sense. It felt like. It felt a little light for me, and it felt a little. I hate to say overly long for such a short movie, but it does. In the middle of like the second half of Act 2 felt long.
Weird.
Which is weird. I don't usually have that problem with movies, but when I'm already expecting I'm expecting short, nonstop action bullshit, and it was like a good 5+ minutes of dialogue, and I'm like, you can talk while you fight. This is a game series where a normal human, Sonya Blade, just crushed concrete by shoving someone into it and, like, killed someone in a street fight. Like, come on. Like, you can do anything with this. You can make people talk while they're fighting. One of my
I didn't
few
have
gripes.
that problem at all. It feels like a 5-minute watch.
I might have been in a mood. I don't know, man. But yeah, no, the same problem with the live action movie. The opening is like 3 times better than the rest of it. Not because the rest of it's bad, but because the opening on this thing is fucking nuts. We get, Scorpion doing dad things. I love how every version of Scorpion is different. Like, they're always like, I don't know, this one's from a different country, has a different name and whatever, but also...
This one's from hell.
But they're, like, all kind of the same at the same time.
Yeah.
They're all, like... Something I just realized. He's Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. I've played this game series for like 15 years. It's like, oh, there's a skull. He can breathe fire. He has a penitent stare. And they explicitly call him a spirit of vengeance. I'm so fucking dumb.
This movie doesn't explain his powers. He has a backstory that's tragic, and then we jump forward in time, and then suddenly he's like bamfing around through the powers of hell, and it's like,
yeah, he absorbed the hell juices when he was in the Netherrealm, because it's like, if you fight for me, you can see your kid, and then it's like, damn, bro,
I missed that.
Give me that. Yeah, it's insane.
How much would you spend?
I kind of want it on Blu-ray, but also it's on HBO. And it seems to be one of the few things HBO isn't just deleting off the face of the planet.
True.
Because this debuted on there and in stores, like retail-wise. This was a direct-to-VOD movie, so...
Let me look it up on Amazon and see if you would pay that price.
I think I've seen it enough times in Walmart where I've considered it, at least. It's good to it's a good party movie. It's a good thing to throw on with a group of people and just, like, eat chips and shit, you know?
It's $12
Yes.
on Blu-ray.
Yeah, $12. I'd pay like under 20 for Blu-ray and a digital copy. I really like the animation. It's so I haven't mentioned it, I don't think, recently on our other podcast, dimecomicbros, because I've been blasting through a lot of DC animated movies because I've been bored, not really bored, avoidant of my life problems. And some of them have the worst animation I've seen in my fucking life for such a high budget production. A lot of them are really cheap. Some of them are not, but like there's some, especially recently, where the animation quality is just so low effort. Something like Injustice, which I did talk about a few months ago, for another fighting game from the same developers, and getting an animated movie form, that thing was abysmal. Not just because it was less interesting and the fighting was bad and blah, 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 but like the character designs have the same, everyone's a Giga Chad, you know? Like Sonya Blade is the most Stacy on the planet. You know, everyone's got like 0% body fat and their face is just skull, you know? It's got that look to it, which I enjoy. But for some reason, a lot of those other things cut costs in frames and all sorts of stuff. This is buttery smooth. And not because of interpolation and bullshit. Like, it's just actually, they just put in the effort to not cut out, like, cheap out on the action.
Interpolation.
I really don't like motion smoothing. Whatever your parents have on their TV. Just all that shit. It's evil.
Anti-aliasing.
It's evil.
I taught gamer too.
Evil. This was pretty damn good. It's fun. Yes. The soundtrack is good. The action was fun. It doesn't lore dump too heavy, but it is enough where you can gather that, like,
stuff happens.
I think it's enough for an entry point. It's like, I'm interested in where this is going, but I'm not, like, literally squirreling around in my seat dying to watch the next one. It's like, I'll watch it when I get to it.
Best Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes, by like a good step and a half. I think it's like a 7 or a 10, a 7 to 8ish.
A 7 or a 10, somewhere around there.
It has, like, because of the type of, because it's a direct to VOD movie, like there are natural limitations, not natural, but like there are limitations on it which just keep it from like being, you know, the best thing ever. Duh. But that's fine. It doesn't have to be the most deep movie ever.
Yes.
It can be just kind of fun and surface level, and like she kicked Johnny Cage in the balls a lot.
Yeah. And it turned him on. That was the weird part.
Really? You don't know a guy who's into that? Ask some of your coworkers. They'll tell you.
Colin. Call Colin. Johnny Cage, cock and ball crushing torture. So Spencer.
Let me
Get the wiggles out, Frank.
Let me attach my asshole to the chair. I am now sealed into the chair. We are one.
Spencer, you played a video game this month. What did you play, and what did you think of it, and what did you spend for money on it? Also, I can't help but notice you have the first volume of Berserk on your shelf already. That's only taken months and months and months.
Yes.
Did your boss actually buy it for you?
No, I bought it myself.
Aww.
So, I played 2 games.
Whoa.
We're gonna do.
I'm gonna
pull a fucking Jacob.
Wow.
You played a slightly short little side scroller like me.
It's not short. It took me 10 hours to play it, and I left a lot of challenges undone. I was speed running to get it done for this stupid review.
And I'm gonna do 2 because fuck you.
Wow.
Good thing is they're kind of the same game. So I played Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The OG, the GOAT. It's still the GOAT, sadly. Kind of not sadly. So, Call of Duty was spun out of the Medal of Honor series, an old World War II shooter series, which was pretty damn good. But then there's a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff with Activision, and then they're like, we want our own series. And then Call of Duty was apparently planned to be modern basically from the beginning. The original Call of Duty was just a test run because they needed to get their foot in the door as a World War II shooter. And then they had to make 2 more. So the company that, the developer, hold on. Infinity Ward, I'm dumb. Infinity Ward almost went bankrupt before being able to make this game. They were so small. This team, the team that made Modern Warfare started off with like 25 people. Like the company was about to go not like 100% go under, but like they were like, you know what, fuck it, we should do the thing we wanted to do in the first place. And then the team got bigger as they started progressing, and it became a cultural phenomenon before it even came out. So this was modern gaming's big push into modern warfare, you know? It was moving away from a lot of World War II games, which means, one, changing up the gameplay almost entirely, and two, a very different tone.
More bleach.
More bleach. So this ended up getting released in 2007. This would have been, 7th gen? So Windows, PS3, Xbox 360, Mac. It eventually came out on the Wii, which is funny. It's bad. Don't play it on the Wii. There we go. So it takes place in 2011, where I'm going to be very vague with all these terms because Call of Duty is really vague with all their political terms because that's how they get away with all the weird shit they do. The story takes place in the year of 2011, where a radical leader has executed the president of an unnamed country in the Middle East, and an ultra-nationalist movement ignites a civil war in Russia. The conflicts are seen from the perspectives of U.S. Marine Force Recon Sergeant and British SAS Commando, and are set in the UK, Middle East, Azerbaijan, Russia, and Ukraine. And there's also multiplayer.
I love how the country's just named by punching the keyboard. Azerbaijan.
I love saying Azerbaijan. It's so funny.
Where are we going?
Azerbaijan. Yeah. Yes. So yes. So the game primarily takes place from the perspective of Soap McTavish, our new boy, our POV character for 80% of the game, I would say, who is a new inductee into this crazy super secret Marine squad. And you also play, I would say, about 15% of the remainder as Paul Jackson, sergeant in the Marine Corps. Also recon. There are a handful of missions taking place as a unnamed AC-130 pilot, as well as a non-playable mission or a non-combat mission taking place entirely in a car, where you are the leader of said nation who gets executed. That's a very spicy mission. Basically, this wasn't planned to be a game. Kind of fun fact, not really. So, gaming was weird around this time for first-person shooters. What we would think of now of game development was very different, whereas now, if you want to make a shooting game, a first-person shooter with a story, like a new Call of Duty, you write the story first, and then you make the levels, kind of. You mostly start with an outline and then you work from there. This game was basically built level by level, and then they wrote a story around it, which makes it a miracle that it functions as a story. So they made...
Does it really function as a story, though?
Yes, it does. Eat my asshole. So there's about 15 missions, roughly. And apparently, about 10 of those were made like in the last leg of production. So they had made a big batch of levels, and then they had to cut out a bunch of them. You can find a lot of them online. I believe Raycevick did a pretty good video on the development of Modern Warfare, which is a very interesting one, so I'll link it.
Very good video.
He went very in-depth and like all the cut levels and stuff. So basically, they just made levels. They made this, and the other thing, and then it's like, so how do we tie these all together into a cohesive narrative?
If it's the video I'm thinking of, I'd say the opening 20 minutes is about Medal of Honor.
Yes.
Like, that's how
it's like a 2 hour. It's like a 2 hour long video. It's a lot.
Great.
It's very good. So just games were produced differently back then. That was normal for them. You'd make levels, and then you would write, the cutscenes and the introductory dialogue, and then you add on top of the base gameplay. We don't do as much of that now. So it's just interesting to play because it does, in a sense, feel a little bit like a relic of the mid-2000s, where each level feels a lot more, carefully crafted, like a playbox. It's aside from just Call of Duty getting worse over the years, it is a focused, these are your objectives for this mission. You have all these different routes you can take. It actually, I hate to say it, but it feels more like a Halo mission most of the time in terms of the effort put into the map layout, the objectives, and the weapon placements. It feels a lot more like that than it does what we would now think of as Call of Duty. Call of Duty has evolved so far past this formula, for better and for worse. And it creates a very strange feeling when playing it, where you'll load in, you go through the tutorial, you get briefed, and then you go into your first mission, and a lot of it is a good amount of scripted moments, but it still tries to feel like it's all organic. There are some moments in some missions where, say, you have to push for an objective, and it's the only time you'll have like infinitely spawning enemies. This is one of the only games where I can sit and camp and actually feel like it's a real strategy. It actually feels like I need to hunker down and clear this building. I can't just speed run it. And I think that's one due to other details I'll get into in a minute. But like the gameplay loop is tight and it's concise. And I think that's the important part of why it works. I like all three of the previous Call of Duties to varying degrees, but this shift one into a modern setting with a different tone and story gameplay balance is very... It was a necessary evolution for the genre to move forward, because the earlier Call of Duty games were, if I remember, I believe it's Call of Duty 2. It's basically like one long game. Like there are checkpoints, but like it never stops. And there's very little story. All of the story takes place in like in-game scripted moments, and that's it. Which it's an unrelenting game. This actually feels like a production. It feels like the earliest version of what we would now think of as like a modern FPS for consoles, which means it simultaneously, it feels retroactively cliche. Because I've played so many games since then with the same gameplay formula, similar settings, and similar, I don't know, just almost everything being very close to it, even within the same series of Call of Duty. It feels like, damn, I've been here before. Like, the whole game. Not just because I've played this game at least 10 times through, but because of the way it's built. It's like... it's kind of like playing CE in a way, whereas CE was the big push for a lot of stuff that we take for granted in modern gaming, even not even in first-person shooters, like having 2 weapons and a health bar. Like a bunch of stuff that Halo started has become so pastiche. It's in other genres now, and Call of Duty had a lot of stuff like that with this game, this type of formula, differing perspectives of the similar conflict in different parts of the world, etc., etc. So it feels small and quaint, but I like that. It's a comforting feeling. It feels like not like going to a museum to go look at old movies and be like, damn, movies used to suck. But it's like going and it's like watching Star Wars. It's like, it's got a lot of rough edges. It's got a lot of moments that you're like, that could have been done so much better, especially now. But you have to, unless you're a moron or mega zoomer, wicked young person with no framing on how stuff works, you have to have a good appreciation for the art that's come before. And I think that's something I have a strong predilection for. I like playing older games or games that were influential, and I can understand where those things came from.
You have to realize how it set the bar.
Right. So now that the bar was set here, and so many things have gone over it, it feels small and like, damn, this is not even that big. Despite having like 15 levels, it's about 10 hours to play through if you're on a reasonable difficulty. So it's just, general vibes are like that. It's strange. So the musical score and general presentation is phenomenal. I'm such a sucker for this era of gaming in general, because it was just before I started playing. So there's like it's like liking 90s shit. It's like, damn, I was so close to just being in the 90s. The musical score was written and composed by Stephen Barton. with the primary themes and leitmotifs being written by Harry Gregson Williams, who has gone on to much bigger fame than Call of Duty. In a similar way, that will happen with the next game, whereas most of the score was actually done by, I believe it was Brian Tyler, but the main theme was done by Hans Zimmer. Having a composer come in to write the big stuff, the meat of it, in terms of like the material you'll be working with, and then you have someone, frankly, lower paid and less experienced to come in and write the massive hours worth of music is pretty standard practice for video games. And I think this is a really good example of that. The main themes are catchy. I can hear them in my fucking sleep. They're not too overpowering. The musical score knows when to be quiet and shut the fuck up, which also may have plenty to do with the sound mixing and the audio editor. But like, it just is good. It's good presentation. The vibes are there. And that's the thing that I think this game excels at. Out of the whole Call of Duty series, and frankly, for most shooters, if I want to play modern warfare, if I want to feel like I should be hearing AC/DC in an AC-130, I will play this game more than any of the other ones. Even though there are games that have done it better, and there are games that have done it bigger and louder. Modern Warfare 2. It nails the balance that Call of Duty immediately fucked up and went in the wrong direction for. The presentation is serious, but vague and non-confrontational. And it's not because this is an apolitical game. It's war, retard. But it's like, it in a lot of ways that a lot of media does. They use a lot of adjacent countries or fake countries that are clearly modeled after something, stuff like that. They play fast and loose with a lot of geopolitics in a way that makes it easy enough to understand for a layperson, but without getting into the nitty gritty or having much. It doesn't have much of a thesis in the specific. It has a general.
You're saying they don't. Soapbox?
No.
Come on, that was a good one.
They don't. No. Despite this is the only Call of Duty game. This is the last Call of Duty game. Correction, other than Modern Warfare 2019, and potentially Modern Warfare 2, the new one. I haven't played that yet. That I can genuinely say I think is actually anti-war. I think they immediately lost that. They got lost in the sauce way too fast. The first three games were very good examples of that. They had a lot of that Medal of Honor at the time, war being unrelenting hell. And then because one, Modern Warfare in and of itself, how we do war is very different and extremely strange. There's different implications we still haven't studied yet. Like, for instance, one of the levels, you take over an AC-130. You are just plinking off people like it's nothing, and you're joking the whole time. And the game is aware that should probably make you feel weird. Like, it's funny because the dialogue is funny, and it's satisfying to use the different weapons on the gunship, but it's also like, the way that it presents the information to you, the dissonance of you can't see what the world looks like. It's only in high contrast heat mode. You have to. It's either black and white or white and black. You can't see what the game looks like. What one I'm sure is a good cost cutting measure. But it tells you hey, why do you feel nothing about this? The way that we do war is so dehumanizing and also alienating. It's very peculiar, and a lot of the game does things like that. Whereas you go back as Paul Jackson, the Marine. You go back to go save a fallen pilot, and you get fucking nuked. None of your efforts mean anything, and you're left there to die. And you watch the nuke go off, which one looked great. But that's the type of presentation I'm interested in more than a lot of the other games are. I am not opposed to games not giving very many shits about any of its themes, but I appreciate the fact that despite that this was mostly created to be a gameplay exploration, look at all these cool level designs we made. They put enough effort into the story and the presentation to convey, hey, this is probably bad. And you can probably tell who the bad guys are in this conflict, but also a lot of this is really confusing and weird. And the fact that your primary character with Soap is so detached from the main conflict, you and your squad are just going in there and fucking shit up, you know? You feel like part of a group, which is also one of the last Call of Duty games that gets that part right. You don't feel like a one-man army, you feel like one man in an army, which is great. It's a really good feeling to like have useful AI. You can actually shoot things, you know? It just creates a very good tonal experience where it's like you can pick it up and play it. The game's not trying to make you like have an existential crisis about war, but it's also like it's reminding you that like maybe you should play other things too, you know? Maybe you shouldn't let this be your only obsession, you know? It has enough self-awareness to it.
How did the remaster stack up?
So, we're almost there. We're almost there.
I was trying to help you transition.
Give me your hair.
You have lost penis privileges.
So I played the original version on my Xbox One, but with a 360 disc. Sorry, I retarded. I played it on the Xbox Series X, which is emulating the Xbox One and the Xbox 360 emulator. So it plays well.
Wow.
Very few technical problems.
Play good.
The game is rough because it's 2007. The hitboxes are kind of large and blocky, you know, stuff like that. But it runs well. I had no crashes. I had no stuttering, no frame rate drops, no weird shit. Just it played the way it's supposed to play in terms of the game running, you know, on the CPU with the graphics card. It played well. I paid $5 for this game disc like 10 years ago. I've had the same copy of Modern Warfare for like ages. Like, it's been so long. I think I bought it at like an antique store that sells just assorted shit. You can get this game cheap as fuck anywhere. It's worth...
Except on Steam.
Well, yes, because digital platforms suck. Just another reason not to be a PC gamer. Yeah.
Drink that bleach.
So worth the money. I've gotten so much replay out of this game. Like I said, I've probably played it around 10 times. I can't really talk about the multiplayer because the servers are so fucked up now. But it was revolutionary at the time. It stuck the landing. It's fun. It's just something I did not have the time to have the patience to go through so many like busted lobbies. And the servers are mostly abandoned just because it's so old. Yeah. So, moving on to the other part of this. Ha, gotcha, bitch. I also played the remaster, which was released in 2016, which was developed by Raven Software and published by Activision. It was originally just included in the like legacy bundles of Infinite Warfare, which was not a well-received or popular game at the time.
But you kind of like it.
We'll get to that eventually, man. But yes, so it's... Activision did everything they could to fuck up this remaster, and it's still good. Like, great. It's one of the best straight-up remasters I've played, period. But everything that the publisher did made this thing hard to like. It's impressive. So, one, they released it as a $20 add-on, basically, or something like that. You had to pay for an additional bundle, and it came with a download code for the game. You couldn't buy it on digital platforms by itself. You had to buy the digital version of both things, and they didn't put it out on its own until mid-2017. So it was a good 9 months later. So the initial hype had already died for this thing. The advertisements for it were great, but, you know, when you get that gut punch, and you're like, and you got to buy the game you really don't want to buy, which at the time had the most disliked video on YouTube, was Infinite Warfare. People did not like that game, or they didn't want it. So, it's big gut punch, very annoying. So it was released for, I believe, it started off at $40. I might be wrong, it might have been $60. But this was released as a standalone product, digitally and physical, for somewhere in that neck of the woods. I purchased it for the Xbox One. I bought it for $20 off of Amazon, actually. New, thankfully. But the other things on top of that, before I actually get into the cool meat and potatoes, Activision still fucking hates you as a consumer because they then, after release, well, one, it launched pretty rough. It wasn't broken, but it was very unpolished. I believe it was about a month after initial release was when like the big patch happened that kind of fixed it. So it didn't launch cleanly. And then after, I believe, 6 months or so of the game being out, they started adding things into its multiplayer mode, which is a full remaster of the original's multiplayer mode. They started adding in loot boxes and new guns from other games into the goddamn multiplayer, which completely, one, fucked the gameplay loop and, like, just all of the stuff. This was still amidst Call of Duty really leaning into loot boxes, which they would not die down until like 2 years ago. It was pretty recently they stopped. I think it was what was the 2018 game? It was before the new Modern Warfare. 2018.
World War II.
Yes, World War II. Yeah, World War II was fucking egregious. I know because I bought it like an idiot. That was the last one to have like a serious loot box system. So there was like a good 5 games.
We have become our dads, memorizing the order of all 42 James Bond movies, but with Call of Duty instead.
Sure.
That is what we have become.
Something like that. If only he could see me now. Be turning over in his grave or something. I don't know. He's not dead. Not dead yet. Give me 10 minutes. They really screwed it up after release. They, one, charged extra money for the remastered map packs. So, for the multiplayer of Call of Duty 4 has, I believe it's a $15 map pack for it's like 5 maps. Nothing crazy. Normal for the time. Good maps. The remastered version was like $20. It was more, and the original version still hasn't dropped in price since release. So if you want to play them on a dead game, you still have to pay full price. It's insane.
With servers that are hacked to shit.
Yes. So that just stacking on top of it to play the same maps, you would think, being like what most remasters do. They add in all the DLC or most of it, the final bits. That's what even The Last of Us Remastered for the PlayStation 4 did, was because it had launched like 6 months before the console came out. They just threw the DLC packs in and said, here you go, and that's it. So big L, and there's just the multiplayer is borderline insufferable now. The quality of the multiplayer when you remove the loot boxes and the monetization and the new weapons is really good. It's a full recreation of the multiplayer. It has a very similar user interface, and the weapons are extremely high quality versions. They've been updated. It's great. It plays well. Until people whip out a gun from like 4 games later. It's annoying. So the actual meat and potatoes of Modern Warfare Remastered, holy fucking shit, dude. It's so good. So, technically speaking, they didn't build it from the ground up. It is not a remake, but they may as well have with how much effort they put into upping the polygon count on all of the character models and like tailoring the hitboxes, which is my biggest... I think it's the biggest thing that helps the game age better, other than like environmental factors. The fact that people, like, say when you stack up on a door to breach, people don't overlap so much and they don't get in the way of you firing and make you either, one, commit friendly fire, which then the level typically boots you for, or you just kill your teammates, who are very useful. That's a real lifesaver. Like, the game actually performs like it's supposed to. You don't have to be so cautious about just people being too close together and the game freaking out and whatever. You shooting air, but you start killing people, you know? So that's a serious improvement. I believe, is merely my belief, I have no evidence for this, I think they turned up the speed for all of the AI characters just a tiny little bit in terms of movement, because I found it less... may just be the hitboxes, but I found it a lot less frustrating when I would get stuck behind people, like going up a stairwell or going through a breached door. It just felt like I was running into a wall a lot less. They're still AI characters, and they still move slower than the player for some fucking reason. I've never understood why games do that, ever. But it plays a lot smoother that way. Graphically speaking, the lighting engine got an overhaul. There are new particle effects, and I think almost every texture is completely remade. I don't think it's just upping the textures. Like, it's not just we ported over the most expensive PC version. So it's not a remake because they didn't rebuild the gameplay loop, but like almost everything else is built from scratch. The sound design is god tier. They changed the whole thing. That I will give them so much credit for. The sound design was almost entirely overhauled. I don't know if they re-recorded lines or something, but the dialogue has been cleaned up so much and improved. It's been the different levels of audio waves have been squeaked around, just fucked around with, so it comes through clearer, but it's also not overpowering. It's easier to hear through combat noises. The audio balancing is better. The gun noises, I swear to God, are all brand spanking new. They're all like real recordings. They went just, fuck it, let's just go record an M14. And it sounds so good. Everything is so punchy and impactful, but it doesn't overpower the audio space. You can still hear the music, you can still hear dialogue. It's just, it feels a lot less
flat.
It's smooth. The edges are smoother. It doesn't come in, the audio clips don't start and stop so abruptly. You know, if you have an ear for audio, you can usually tell, especially when something's older, it's a little, not chirpy, but like kind of clippy sometimes, especially with like gunfire noises that are really repetitive. They do come across so much better. They're edited a lot better, and they're impacted by the environment a lot clearer. So say you're shooting inside versus outside, or inside a metal container versus outside in the woods or into the water. The original game had those types of details, but they were a lot muddier because the audio quality had to be lower because of like the size of the disc and the processing power. Now it sounds so delicious. I'd swear there's hundreds of variants of just one shot getting fired out of one gun. Like, the amount of effort they put into the audio design is disgusting. I believe the soundtrack is just updated with general polish. Sounds equally as good. Nothing else has really changed. The collectibles are still reasonable. I believe they were placed slightly differently. They're in the same locations, generally speaking, but I think they're placed in, like, better spots. So say it's in the same room, but instead of it being on the bed, it's on the dresser, or like something like that. There's a little bit less of the Intel laptops that are like on the floor or whatever. Sometimes they're like on a crate in front of a shitter, which is funny. Both versions of the game have that, but like it feels like they kept the same locations. So if you remember them, you remember where they are, but they look better. They fit in with the world a little bit more instead of it being such a standout. Holy shit, that's a bright white screen in a dark room. I think that's an Intel laptop. I should go get it.
What was your best time on the mock-up?
Ooh. Fun fact. I didn't realize until this playthrough of the original Call of Duty 4. It's a mock-up of the mission you go play. I'm so fucking dumb. I've played it nearly a dozen times, and it's like, how did I not realize that? Not just because it's physically the same, but like, they say it. They're in the middle of getting prepared for the mission. I'm so dumb. I believe my current time on Remaster, which I've been playing a little bit more because it's a bit more of a pleasant experience, is 17, I believe. So there's an achievement for beating, I believe it's Gaz's record is like 19.1. There is also an achievement for beating the Infinity Ward's fastest employee runtime, which I'm sure is faster now, but it's like 15.2 or something. I haven't gotten that one yet. Fun. It was really fun going back for me because I played through that so much originally. It's fun. It's a nice little mock-up. It's a quick little thing. You get used to the gameplay loop and how the game controls. But when I went back and did it on Remaster, it took my first run through my first retry on Modern Warfare, the original version, was really bad. It was like 40 seconds because I just wasn't used to how the game played. It's been so long, 3-4 years maybe. And then on my second run through, it was like 20. It was such a night and day. As soon as I got used to the controls, my brain went into monkey mode. It was really, really cool.
I don't have that trophy, so I don't know what time I have, but I haven't beaten the 19 seconds.
You suck. Yeah. I believe in Remaster they have a multiplier for I believe it's accuracy or something. There's additional elements that make your time a little bit easier to achieve because there's like bonuses. Very small, but they do help. User interface for remaster is basically just an improvement upon the original. It is a simple, straightforward, look at the character model in the middle of the screen, and on the left side, they're just little green boxes you navigate. It's simple, it's responsive. It's really funny because it has a prompt to go play Infinite Warfare, which is great. So it'll send you to the shop page to go buy it. That link is still active. I found a lot of comedy in that. It loads up levels quickly. The save file system is better than previously. It seems more consistent at acknowledging my checkpoints. Also, a lot of games from the mid-2000s have this really bad habit of, like, if you didn't finish a level and then you go back and then finish it again, like you hit the resume button, sometimes the achievements won't pop for some fucking reason. The remaster doesn't have that problem because it has quick play through Xbox. So if I turn my Xbox off and I turn it back on, it'll load the game back up. It has the quick replay feature. So I just immediately goes back to the game. I don't know how they do that. It's so cool. I love it. Total playtime for both versions was roughly 20 hours to get all Intel items. I remember about 50% of them, so I would whip out a guide every once in a while just to double check, as well as the like level specific achievements. So say, fucking save a villager in this one level or like whatever. All those sorts of stuff.
Destroy 8 enemy helicopters in heat.
Right. Those ones I had to go look up just to double check to make sure I remembered what I was doing. Something I appreciate about Remaster is it has an almost identical achievement list to the original game. There's a few that are a little different because of like necessary gameplay changes, and they remove a few really redundant ones. I think they condense you played this on veteran, like there's a veteran achievement, but for most of the levels, they like condense it down. So it's like you have to play 3 levels on veteran to get the achievement or whatever. I think they condensed them more so they had more room for specific ones because there's just a few extra achievements. Like there's a Desert Eagle hidden in the first level, stuff like that. Just a few little fun tidbits. So yeah, it was about 20 hours for the whole thing for each one. So total for all of my games this month was 35 to 40 hours. The story in of itself is like sub 10 if you're just playing through. I played it on veteran, which is why it took 20 hours. I don't understand what you're talking about. I genuinely think veteran is actually quite fair for this game. It's not forgiving at all. Hardened is what I will do if I want to just play the story. Below that is way too easy because it's Call of Duty. It's muscle memory. I've played 10 of the 15 games or whatever.
The level where you start out on the overpass, like all foggy brained.
Yes.
That is the level that broke me on veteran.
I think you're dumb.
Like, it would be all foggy brain and dead.
I think the thing with playing on veteran that is more agitating is it's the moments where you do need to push past it, like an infinite enemy generator, because there are a handful of moments where it's like, the game is telling you need to push past this door or they're going to keep going. Like, it's not going to stop. So you can't just sit there and camp it out until they're all done. So that does get frustrating. I certainly died a lot, but I believe there's additional checkpoints as well in the remastered version, so it doesn't reset you 10 minutes of progress every time you fucking die. It's like 2 to 5 minutes, I think, roughly. I bought, like I said, $20. So fucking worth it. I'm going to go back and wrap up a few more achievements I missed. Maybe try to squeeze into some multiplayer and hope it is playable without those damn new guns. I really want to go back to that because I played that multiplayer for a bit when it came out. It's great. It's just all the new guns and stuff just really fucked it up. Very good. One of the best remasters I've played. It has very few new issues. Like, probably none, other than the stuff that the publisher did to fuck it up. The development-wise, it's easily the preferred version. There is no, qualms. Like, say, with the new fucking, like, Last of Us version, there might be some people who are like, I don't like the fact that they use the models from the second game. Like, whatever. Like, there's a small preferential difference. This is easily the superior version. It plays smoother. It's faster. It's more It's more atmospheric. It adds... I don't know how I forgot. That's the thing I forgot. It adds so much fucking shit. Like, during the tutorial level, when you walk outside to go run across base, there's, like, nothing there. There's, like, one truck and no people. In the remastered version, there's like 400 fucking soldiers doing drills, like 10 helicopters. It's intense.
All kinds of test areas to teach you how to throw grenades and stuff.
Yes, they add in so much more life to the game. They can't change where the barriers are, but they can sure as hell make the truck that is the barrier look a lot better. It doesn't look so gamified. Where the original's like a 9 and the remaster's like a 9.5. I love the story. I know it's simple as shit, but like this game is fucking great.
That is the show. All 2 hours of it.
Oh.
Thank you for listening.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
We would like to thank our patrons.
Yes.
I said it right. Suck my nuts. Jeff Lawrence and Caitlin support the show. They keep us going. They give us hope to make another show.
Just enough to get through the week. Not to alleviate my existential depression, but enough to make sure I get to recording.
Yeah. Just enough cares to be like, I gotta have something to talk about this weekend.
Yes.
Because that's coming quick.
True.
If you want to become a patron, just like Jeff Lawrence and Caitlin,
go to patreon.com/dimecomicbros network. We have a bunch of different tiers. They were recently reworked by yours truly.
Wow. And they're going to be reworked again, I'm sure.
A little bit, yeah. Just a lot of the stuff you'd expect from a Patreon. You get your name mentioned, social media following. There's sketches and commissions by call-in at different tiers. All sorts of fun stuff like that. You get exclusive access to Dime Comic Bros and Dime Gaming Bros Happy Hour, where we sit, we talk about random bullshit. Sometimes it's Superman Trunks discourse. Sometimes it's beer. Sometimes it's girls. You never know. It's just all over the place. You never know.
Sometimes it's beer because of girls.
True. So that's just a little segment we toss in that's exclusive to our Patreon. You also get early access to this show as well as our primary podcast, Dime Comic Bros, a few days early, whenever humanly possible. So you're cool. You get to listen to us as soon as Jacob's done editing. So go to patreon.com/dimecomicbros. Go to our Twitter and Instagram and our YouTube community tab for updates.
We have a big thank you to Jetpack Comics and Games in downtown Rochester, New Hampshire. They have comics and games and cool employees that will help you find comics and games.
I was so close to buying a fucking 2DS that they have there. Ooh. They have the Zelda one. Mm-hmm. One, I like the 2DS because I got big hands.
Yeah.
It's got that Game Boy Advance vibe to it. And it was like $180, which is reasonable for that one, and also most of them. I was so close. Thankfully, I didn't. I went and bought like 3 omnibus. How do you even say it without saying the slur anymore? I always say omnibussy. I say omnibussy in front of my parents. I need help. Someone send help. Send soap, please.
Omnibus.
Omnibus. It doesn't sound right.
It's like a school bus.
It doesn't sound right.
But it's an omni.
Omnibus. It doesn't sound right.
You look like you're biting something off when you say omnibus.
I got a big mouth. What can I say? You know what they say about big mouths?
Big omnibussy.